All right. Got 38 participants right now. 45. Here he goes. 51. 58. I wish my stocks did that, you know. All right, everybody. Hello. We'll get things going here in just a second. We're watching attendees still coming in the door right now, but we'll get going with the CNC once we start seeing those numbers level off a little bit. Excited to get this thing going today. All right, it's 8 o'clock right now. Like I said, we'll probably give it about another minute or two here while we wait for the last people to come in. If you have any questions today, go ahead and ask it in the Q&A section in the webinar, and then I'll be fielding through those while Ruth is speaking, and then we'll definitely make sure to try to get through as many as we can, making sure that there's definitely pertaining to the CNC, and making sure that we're keeping to kind of what we're talking about. We can definitely I know there's lots of other questions out there. We can just making sure we can get those at other times as well. So. All right. Again, if anybody is coming in late, we've got Bob's here as well. So if anybody is coming late, this is being recorded. So we'll get this with a little bit of time. We'll get this up on the website. So if anybody does miss this, or you have a Cox who wants to go through the information and wants to make sure they get everything, that they missed anything today, it's definitely will be up there for everybody to take a look at. So we'll have, that's kind of the beauty of being able to do these CNCs this way in the future, earlier in the regatta, so we can make sure if you have other questions that come up, we're not rushing to dinner the night before and getting to the races the next day still without an answer. So, all right. Well, it's 8:02. Let's go ahead and roll things going. Again, everybody, welcome to the Coaches and Coxswains meeting. My name is James Ross, and I'm the events director for USRowing. Appreciate you all getting on a webinar here at 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday. And again, a lot of people here, actually probably more highly attended than some of our own CNCs usually when they're live and in person. So we're going to start off with, I'll just kind of go through some of the basics about from the USRowing, kind of the admin side of what we're doing for the races, and then we'll hand it off to our chief referee, chief officials here to talk about what we've got going on, and with the and all the questions we have too for the practices and the races and all that good stuff. So, but again, welcome again. Thank you for being a part of what is now our largest youth race we've ever held. This, it might have a different name, but it has the same meaning. The Youth National Regatta this year is going to go off great here starting next week. I know I'm traveling tomorrow, and some of our first trailers arrived over the weekend. And again, we've got over 700 entries, 2,700 athletes. So we've got a very big race to get through, and what ends up being a very small island to host it on. Sanka down at Nathan Benderson Park always looks like a big island, but when we start putting this many people on it, it will sink. It won't sink, but it will shrink really, really fast. But that being said, one of the things we've got doing, again, we've got our credentialing, we've got our wristband. So this is part of the making sure we get all the names. I know there's a few teams that were kind of, still waiting on some of those names for their coaches. So we make sure we have the credentialing, because otherwise we want to make sure you be able to have the access to get into the athlete area. So if you have not done that, please provide that to us ASAP. We've got, again, we're probably working on about 3,500 credentials right now, just for the athletes, support staff and coaches, not let alone the referees and the other staff members that are going to be a part of this. So please let us know. With that, we are going to be actually having our registration. If you've been to the island, it's at the top of the hill, not further down for those that have been there in the past, where we usually kind of do our check-in towards the boat area, down towards the water. We have that whole space is full of trailers and boats. So we're actually fenced off more up towards like where the driveway coming in is, where they usually have like bus drop-offs and things like that up there for that. That is where we'll have our registration. We'll be open at 6 a.m. every morning from Tuesday through Sunday. We'll be open at 6 a.m. every morning to help with credentialing if there's any issues. Obviously, we're pretty much going to get through most of the credentialing Tuesday and Wednesday as the teams arrive for practices. You'll be able to pick it up. You'll have your COVID officer will be able to kind of provide, there's that part that they've, from your webinars, your COVID webinars, they'll have all that paperwork they've got. And then we can provide all the credentialing for those that have fulfilled all the things that they need to do. We'll have all the credentials and wristbands. So we're going to do it a double way. We're going to have a yellow wristband because we know at some point, sometimes someone might lose their credentialing. We just want to make sure we have a double way of making sure that we have these people. We do need to make sure we don't lose them. If you lose them, please come to registration and make sure we can kind of give us some time to be able to print off another credential that it's their lanyard credentials to make sure you have that to get into the athlete area. Moms and dads won't be, unless they're essential support staff, not just the one that's like, oh, I brought a muffin today, I'm going to bring it down to them, I need to go see my kid. As long as they're really truly support staff, we want to make sure that they're going to be credentialed. It's very, we've, with our safe sport stuff going on, all these things, it's very crucial that we keep the essential, and just the size of the regatta, that we keep those that need to be in the athlete area there. For those who haven't seen it, the confirmation packet with all the parking information as well is up online, both on our USRowing website and in the Regatta Central page for the regatta, landing page for the regatta. So it has the instructions there. Again, because we're using so much of the island, we'll be providing one parking pass. You can either use that as your tow vehicle or one van to kind of, if you're moving kids back and forth, because we just do not have the room on the island for all of the teams to be able to bring like six vehicles each. I think we have enough room for about another 200 vehicles, I believe is what we heard from Sanka, that we can put on top of what we have with the trailers and such. So that's going to be, again, it's roughly about one-ish per team. So we want to make sure we have room for that. There is the north lot. It's going to be, it was on the map. It's kind of more towards the mall. If you're familiar with the area of the mall that's to the north of the regatta site, that is, virtually have to, you show your credentialing. Another place you'll need credentialing, because they will not be allowing parents without tickets, spectator tickets or credentialing to be able to get into that parking lot. That's the closest parking lot to the venue, outside of those one per team that you'll be getting from registration when you pick up your credentials. Then you'll be walking to the site with all your gear. So, but again, like I said, we'll be there. We obviously have, like, we're running around from time to time, but we definitely will be staffing it from 6 to about 8 or 9. Make sure that we have that crucial part in the morning when people are definitely trying to get things kind of situated and ready to get on the island. If we are stepping away, we'll have contact information, how you'll be able to contact us on island if we're trying to put out any kind of fires or anything else that's going on with the regatta. But that's, again, making sure that at this point, you're locked in. We haven't been able to look at it yet, but making sure all your entry fees are paid, all the membership. It looks like I was talking to the membership and the compliance side of things. We're looking good on our memberships. But again, if you keep getting those letters, I know sometimes we have the dual entries that some athletes have, entered twice into the system, so they might get pinged for one, even though they have a membership for the other. Just make sure we'll work on clearing those up at the same time. If anybody is still outstanding with the membership stuff, please try to get that done in the next day. So there's, again, it's a clean, here's your packet, and good luck to your racing once you get your registration type deal. With that, I think I'm going to leave it at that. We can come back and see if there's any questions to that here when we've talked to Ruth. But I'm going to pass it over to our Chief Ruth Mcnamara, who's going to be talking about all the fun stuff. Again, the real reason we're here, which is to race and to get some great racing with a very, very tight, full schedule with a great racing opportunity for our kids. So Ruth, go at it. Have fun.
Thanks, James. Appreciate that. So welcome everyone to the 2021 Youth National Regatta Coaches and Coxswains meeting. I'm Ruth Mcnamara. I'm from the Mid-Atlantic region, and joining us tonight is my deputy, Bob Willenbring, who's from the Northwest region. We will be joined by an experienced group of referees from across the country, representing all regions. And our primary role for this regatta is to ensure safety and fairness for all the athletes. So if they or any of you who are on the call have any questions throughout the week, don't hesitate to ask any one of us. This is their regatta, or if the athletes are on, this is your regatta, and we're here for you, and we're honored and privileged to be a part of this. I'm sure by now you all are familiar with the USRowing rules of racing and the regatta packet for this regatta, so I don't want to run a clinic, But at the same time, I want to highlight some things that are specific to this venue and that are also specific to this regatta, and what we can expect from you and what you can expect from us. So on my part, I'm going to cover COVID, medical, weather, practices, uniforms, control commission, warm up for the time trials and the time trials, warm up for sprint racing and sprint racing. If you have any questions about something I'm presenting, wait and see if I answer it during my presentation. And then if not, absolutely enter it in and we'll answer at the end. And if you have a question about something I said, don't hesitate to ask. Happy to answer questions. So getting started, COVID-19, what a year we've had, or year and a half. From the referee's point of view, all athletes, coaches, volunteers, referees, and staff must wear a mask while on the venue, and rowers may take them off while on the water. So referees will be monitoring that as people go through control commission. Stern cox boats, the coxswain must wear a well-fitted mask and wraparound eye protection while on the water, unless all members of the crew are vaccinated. And James, I'm not sure how we're going to know all members are vaccinated. Do they get a special wristband?
They're not doing special wristbands from that, but I think their COVID officers kind of provided that information, so we do
Perfect.
have that. So
okay, just wouldn't want to talk to a crew that we didn't know that about. In bow-loaded cox boats, the coxswain does not need to wear a mask or eye protection when on the water. So you must abide by the COVID protocols. Any repeat offenders may receive a penalty, and penalties can go as high as unsportsmanlike conduct. So please wear your mask and social distance, and we should all be okay. Medical. During practices and races, medical will be located at Control Commission. There'll be a rescue diver on the start bridge. So we have someone there on the water, and then also at the finish line will be set up with medical. Weather in Sarasota is very unpredictable. Typical to have thunderstorms this time of year that interrupt our racing and could actually knock out a round of racing. So I want everyone to be racing every race like it really matters, as if it's a final, in case we miss a round of racing. I'm going to go over practices, and I'd like to share a screen with you. So let's see.
yeah, it worked, Ruth.
Yay. I'm not technologically savvy, but here we go. Before I get into it about practices, I want to note one special set of circumstances. If any of your athletes are participating in the U19, U23 trials the week following this regatta, I want to be clear about practices. While they are competing at the youth regatta, they can only attend youth regatta practices. They cannot attend the trials practices at the same time. So to be very clear, you cannot practice in the SANCA sanctioned trials practices or their practice times unless you are no longer competing at youth regatta. And if you're not competing at the youth regatta, you need to go to SANCA, check in, and get permission to practice at their trials practice times. So I hope that's clear. It's just a nuance, and I want to make sure that everyone understands so that they can't practice at both practice times. Moving on. Because of the large number of entries, we will have 4 practice sessions for the youth regatta. These practice sessions are for you to check your rigging, see the warm-up area, and have a row down the course. The practices are not intended for you to get a full practice on the water. So part of your workout is going to have to be done on land or on ergs. The 4 sessions will be on Tuesday and Wednesday, 7 a.m. to noon and 1 to 4 p.m. The 7 to noon will be marshaled by coaches, and the 7 to 4 marshaled by coaches, and the coaches are out there for your safety and will not be coaching. The 1 to 4 shift both days will be marshaled by referees and volunteers. On Tuesday, any and all credentialed crews on site will be allowed to practice on Tuesday in either session. But on Wednesday, when most teams will be on site, the U19s will practice in the morning and the U17s will practice in the afternoon. So if there's a U19 program that needs to practice in the afternoon, they need to speak with James and he'll handle their request on a case-by-case basis. At Wednesday's practices, practice starts will be done during both sessions, and they're not going to be actual starts. They're going to be they're not going to be starts as if you back in and get locked on and we'll hold you and do a practice start. This is just to allow you to observe the light system and to hear the tone that will be used during sprint racing. So the practice and practice start, even though this traffic pattern just says practice starts, it is the practice and practice start traffic pattern. And note that it's all in one direction. In other words, where my cursor is, you leave the launch docks, you come down this lane, there'll be buoys on both sides where the red arrows are. You'll go underneath the wave attenuator under the bridge and come out onto the course. And this marshal at about 50 meters will either be here or on the starting platform. They will attribute your lane. And the purpose of attributing a lane is so that faster boats don't run upon the slower boats, and vice versa, a slow boat doesn't get in the way of a faster boat. So you will get in a lane. They'll be doing practice starts on Wednesdays. You'll probably see 2 of them in the time it takes you to go through this process and get in your lane. You row down your lane, you get to the finish. There's a finish marshal who's going to keep you moving into the canal here and through the canal and around Bird Island and into the recovery docks. So that's how all the practices are going to be run. They're going to be the one large loop of about 3,000 meters. Uniforms. All athletes must have their torsos covered while on the venue, while practicing on the water, and during any racing session. And during racing, everyone will be in their racing uniform in each boat. Going through control commission, before you approach the docks, I'd like to ask you to please, your masks should already be on. Be sure that your boat is compliant with all the safety rules. Heel ties, bow ball, bow loaded coxswain opening, make sure there's clear, they can get out easily. During racings, referees will be checking every bow ball because they are there for the safety of all the crews on the water. And during practice, they'll be spot checked by the volunteers that are at control commission. So I ask athletes and coaches to please check the bow balls on all your boats. You may be asked to cant your boat as you go through control commission so they can spot check heel ties. If they are untied, they will ask you to tie them before going down to the dock to launch. And if a referee can't tell, they may ask you or a crew member to pull on the heel ties to prove that they actually are tied. Always best when you know your race number and lane and that you have your bow number on your boat before you go through control commission. We ask you to keep all walkways, docks, clear of oars, shoes, clothing. Anything that you might take down there needs to be cleared off as soon as you push off. I ask you to be quick off the dock. There are many, many crews this year, and we'd like to get everybody on the water in a timely fashion. So to be sure to check your rigging when you go out for these practices, because during racing, we do not have time to hold races. If you have an issue of broken equipment, it needs to be able to be repaired within 15 minutes of your race time. That's as long as we can hold the races to stay on track. So I'm going to move to time trials and try to move this to another traffic pattern. Okay, time trials. You'll note that there are 2 warm-up traffic patterns on this time trials. It's the only way we came up with that we think we can accommodate all the crews and to get all the time trials done in one day. So we're going to need the attention and cooperation of all the athletes to get all these boats through control commission, through the warm-up pattern, and then onto the race course and get down the course and have a fair and safe trip down the course. You'll notice the traffic pattern on the right-hand side. They'll come off the launch dock. They'll go into this. Both traffic patterns go down the center of the water here in the same direction. The one on the right will take a right turn and do a circular pattern around this 750 meters. And the one on the left will take a left turn and do a counterclockwise pattern here. We have saved this top 250 meters up here for when we're staging boats to go out on the water for their time trials. So just for example, we'll launch, say we launch event 1 on the left. They'll come up, they'll circle around at about 9 minutes before their race. We'd like them to be up here near the top. They need to stage themselves and bow order number. We ask them to hug this buoy line in the middle there so that when the next event will go on the other side and be circling, but the next event to come into this traffic pattern that they came in will overlap for about 5 minutes. So we're going to ask those of you going out to your race to hug the center buoy line, and everyone else will hug this center buoy line that they're going to be circling around. Once we get you up here and underneath the wave attenuator, it'll go pretty quick. So you may launch 30 minutes before your race. Once you get up there, things are going to go quickly, as I said. The start marshal will call you towards the bridge. You'll go onto the course. And once you're through the bridge, there's a referee who will be on the lane 7 finger here on the start, and they're going to attribute your lane. So we hope to race in lanes 3 and 4, but in the event of bad weather or bad water, we're going to put you in the most even conditioned lanes. So let's start out just talking, we're going into 3 and 4 for this presentation. Get into your lane quickly. We ask you to move up 15 or 20 meters so that the crew that is behind you in your lane can get into the lane while you're waiting to start. The referee will also be either on lane 3 or 4 finger, and that is going to be the person who gives you permission to go. So since you're up about 20 meters, you're gonna have about 70 to 80 meters to get up to speed. So when you're asked to go, you need to go. There's no time to wait up there. If you're not in the center of your lane when you get up there, don't back down and try to get in the center. Just use those 70 or 80 meters that you're going to use for building pressure to get into the center of your lane. You'll cross the starting line here at 100 meters. The only way you're going to know you're on the starting line is that the buoys go from red to yellow. There is no sound when you cross it, and there's also no sound at the finish. So at the start, you'll know when you cross the buoy line from red to yellow. We're going to start boats every 20 to 30 seconds. And therefore you'll have about 40 to 60 seconds before the next boat starts in your lane. And we want to emphasize that this is a time trial, not a head race. So our goal is to give you a clean race down the course for a good time, and your best time, that is. The first referee over here marked in this second boat, this is a safety boat, but this boat right here is going to be on the 200 meter mark, and they are the delineation of the breakage zone. So if you have breakage in that first 100 meters, you need to pull off the course, and it has to be breakage. It can't be poor rigging. It can't be a crab, a popped oarlock, or anything like that. If it's anything like that, they're going to ask you to just continue on and not let you come off and start over. If it is breakage, you have 15 minutes to get that fixed. The referee there will help you facilitate that as best they can. And then there you go. You're on the course. You've passed that 100-meter breakage, and you're rowing down the course. If you suffer breakage anywhere along the course, anywhere, we're going to ask you first to try to get out of your racing lane to the outside lane. So if you're in 3, you're going to go to 2, and 4, you're going to go to 5. And the closest referee will come and try to assist you. If you can still row, because there's nothing we can do to get you back in the race if you have breakage after that 100-meter mark, which is the 200-meter mark on the shore, if it happens throughout the race here. So let's talk about if you're in your race and the next crew starts and they're starting to approach you and they are about to overtake you. I want to talk about what your responsibility is if you're being overtaken. You need to be completely out of your lane towards the outside lane. So if you're in lane 3, you're going to 2, and 4, you're going to go to lane 5. You need to be out of that lane completely before the crew that is approaching you is within 1 boat length. So don't wait until they get to be a boat length and then try to get out of their way, because at that point you could cause interference. And the presumed penalty for interference is exclusion, and we certainly don't want to exclude anybody from the time trial. Once you've moved, if you've had to move to the outside lane to get out of someone's way, you can stay in that outside lane and finish the race out there if that happens. If at the finish you feel that you've had any issue along the course that may have impeded you, or that you want to speak to a referee, there is the finish marshal over here, and that is the person you're going to pull off and talk to. But when you finish racing, everything went well, you're just going to get in that pattern to circle around the island and get back into the recovery dock. So that is time trials. Let's see if I can move this to a new map. We're going to go to the warm-up map for sprint racing. Race day traffic pattern. Notice that it's a single traffic pattern in a clockwise rotation there. There'll be 2 marshals in the middle there. If you have any equipment issue during the warm-up, it's best to notify one of them immediately, and they will try and help you solve that before your race time. You may take as many of these large loops as you can that you have time for. Again, you're going to launch 30 minutes before your race. And then as you get closer to your race, you can cut it off here at about 400 meters. It's about a 250-meter circle each way, so 500 meters. So beware of the time, because you're going to want to be up here when that next race in front of you is on the starting line, because as soon as it clears breakage, you're going to be invited in, and we hope you go in bow order number with lane 1 first, followed by through 7, 6 and 7 lane boat races. This start marshal here will notify you that you can, either on the bridge or on the land there, they're going to invite you onto the course. You come under the bridge. You think that you're in lane 4, but the conditions have changed. And so the referee, the starter, will attribute your racing lane if they change. So don't be surprised if for whatever reason it were to change. Just go to the lane you're told to go to. Once all crews have been attributed, the starter will announce typically how much time before the race. If we're on 7-minute centers, it may not come until they get to the 5-minute call. You'll have a 4-minute, 3-minute, and 2-minute call. You're welcome to warm up in your lanes unless the starter tells you otherwise. You're responsible to be locked on at 2 minutes. You're responsible for your point. We'll start as close as we can to the published time, but just know that at the 2-minute call, the starter has the discretion to start the race at any time. We'll be using the light system, but not the boot system. So the starter will announce each crew's name. They'll say the word attention. A red light will appear on the light system. It'll be a stanchion at the in your lane on the start bridge. There'll be a variable pause, and then simultaneously a green light and tone will sound to start the race. If it's necessary due to weather or windy conditions, the starter may use a quick start. And they likely will announce ahead of time at the 2-minute call that we're using a quick start. And it's quick start, attention, a red light will appear on the light system of the start bridge, the variable pause, and then simultaneously a green light and tone will sound for the start of the race. So if you have any issues at the start, you have to stop and object in the starting area. If you're not ready or you don't feel you have a safe point, I'm going to tell you, don't start. The starter must stop the race if you do not start, but you must have a legitimate reason for not starting. Otherwise, you will be assessed a penalty. And you cannot object to something that happened at the start at the finish. And just a reminder about penalties. You only get one warning. The second warning in the same race is an exclusion. So once the race is finished, that warning goes away. It doesn't carry over to the next round of racing unless it's done after your race is over and it's between your 2 races. If for any reason that light system fails at the start, we'll use flags and use verbal starting commands. And if that happens, it'll be announced at the start of each race. So during sprint racing on the course, you are responsible for your steering. So please heed instructions from the following referee. If they need to give you course corrections, they'll do their best to be behind you, but in any event, they'll use their megaphone, they'll call out your crew name, and they'll drop the white flag in the direction that they want you to move. So please heed any instructions you get from the referees during the race. At the end of the race, if you feel your opportunity to win, to place, or advance was negatively impacted, raise your hand on the water. Get one of the following referees' attention. The following referee will listen to your objection. Be sure to state what happened, where it happened, and most importantly, what remedy would you like to have to restore fairness to you and your crew? The referee may need to speak to other crews, so don't leave the finish area. They may ask you to move to the side so other races can finish. And the referee will render a decision on the water to your objection. If you agree with their decision, and the referee will then speak to the other crews who may be affected by their decision. And if the other crews affected by the decision agree, then all is good. But if you disagree with the referee's decision to your objection, or if you are a crew that is affected by the referee's decision and you disagree with their decision, notify the referee on the water that you will be filing a protest. And then you have 1 hour after you land to write up your formal protest and deliver it to me or to the chief judge in the finish tower with $50 cash. You cannot file a protest on land if you have not raised an objection on the water. We'll review your protest and advise you of the next steps. We'll have a person on the top of the finish tower who's going to be watching all the crews who are going all the way back through the recovery docks and through the canal, and that position is strictly for your safety. Remember to put your mask back on before coming to the recovery dock. And again, this is your regatta. We're honored and privileged to be here to ensure your safety and fairness. And if at any time during the week you have any issues, don't hesitate to find me or Bob, and we will listen and address your issues appropriately. So if there are any questions, I can take them now, James. I will unshare this traffic pattern. Unless there are questions about it, I'll try to share it again. You're on mute.
Everybody in the office knows I'm always the last one to unmute. So again, what I think we've got a list of about 30 questions right now. We'll just go down and we can tag team this and figure out which ones. I think mainly going to be for me, but we'll figure out what we got. But yeah, thanks Ruth on that. We'll see how many more as we go. One of the first question, when will the heat sheets be released? Well, right now, again, hopefully you've all seen the schedule is updated. There's a few tweaks we had to do. Probably have to do one more tweak, add another race in there it's up on the website and on Regatta Central, linking back to the website. Here Now is actually in the process, herenow.com is in the process of actually building the regatta for us right now. So that'll be, again, because that's where it will be for its entirety. The regatta will be through herenow.com. And with that will also be, I'm getting a list compiled for the seatings versus the kind of the time trial. So that way we can input all that information. So not only will tomorrow hopefully have, the heat sheets will be up, but with the lane orders tomorrow, that's what we're aiming for. But again, schedule's up, heat sheets tomorrow. So I think we can resolve that one. Can you please be sure to review the practice schedule? I think Ruth did that. Hopefully, again, Meg, if you have any other questions on that, we can add anything else at the bottom, and we'll come back to it if we didn't get anything on that practice you're asking about. Let's go ahead and let's see, what does the warm up look like? Did that? You can warm up again. Warm up wise, and this came up that you'll see this question as well a lot of times. I mean, the intent is yes, we want to make sure it's a one and done type deal. We don't have, again, this is very different than in the past. I've been working on this with coaches as well to kind of say, this is where we're at. This is 770 boats. Yeah, sure, we could just make it a free for all and everybody go as many times as they want. But again, we've got pinch points, we've got safety. We've got to make sure that, it's especially for some of these crews that haven't, these younger crews as well, these U17s that haven't really done a lot of experience in the last 2 years type thing on the water. But really, our intent is a one and done, that again, with the understanding that, yes, we understand some of you guys are renting boats down there, or maybe your coach is new and he put the riggers on backwards, whatever it is. We obviously want to make sure we try to give it any adjustments for a quick one. We're not trying to begin. We really want to make sure that we're not trying to go and get make up for the last 2 years of practice in a 4 hours time slot, right? We want to make sure that you get a fair assessment. Looking at the weather too, a lot of your crews, it's going to be in the mid 90s with a lot of humidity and a lot of storms next week. So taking that into consideration as well. I trust you guys to coach. You guys are the coaches, but for my old coaching hat, I also wanted to kind of do it quick, get it done, get them on the water and move on with my day. So that's kind of what we're looking with that. Are we going to still require the vaccinated individuals wear masks when on the venue? Yes. I mean, we're really, the athlete area, I think Ruth talked about it, is to confirm. And again, and Sarah, hopefully Sarah McCall, who's kind of in the spectator side of things right now, if something I miss, if I say it incorrectly, you can definitely, ping me, I'll make sure. But again, we did that webinar last week or two, whenever that was, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that virtually went all over that stuff. Nothing has changed on that side. We want to make sure that our athletes, vaccinated or not vaccinated, I mean, there's still risks and involved. We want to make sure they're going to stick to that height of things. Handicap parking, we have, with the island, we're working with SANC and make sure we have stuff on island for ADA and for some of that parking. We're still trying to figure out where exactly it's going to be the best areas for dropping off. We'll have some more information on that as we get going, the next day or so. Is there a specific credential form, or does the COVID compliance form double up? So with the information, what this is kind of like, well, we kind of have the information from the forms to get your coaches, your essential staff. And I think there's gonna be some review with some of the teams, because when we said essential staff, it's like we did for our other regattas. It wasn't like 45 members of your traveling party. It was more like, what do we essentially need? Like the 1 per 15 that we were talking about for our regional regattas, for those who are familiar and did those races, making sure that we kind of, again, not overpopulate with the island with the people are really not essential. with that, like we had that information from the forms and some of the emails we've gotten. We also pulled the athlete data for the credentialing. So that's why we have it separately than the COVID. The COVID stuff is separate. That will go to a COVID officer. They'll take care of that, and they're processing that kind of like as their own little bubble. Whereas the credentialing side for athlete and getting access to the island, a lot of that's just coming from our stuff on the back end.
In
Yeah,
the chat section, there is a question about, can you confirm must coxswains wear eye protection and a mask while they're on the water? So in a stern cox boat, I took that language directly from the return to the water document on USRowing. In a stern cox boat, the coxswain must wear a well-fitted mask and wraparound eye protection while on the water, unless all crew members are vaccinated. And a bow-loaded one, the coxswain doesn't have to wear eye protection or a mask.
perfect.
Does that that should answer the question?
That should answer
Do
that
sunglasses count as eye protection? Well, you can go to the CDC and see which sunglasses they say do, but there's a question about where the inclusive double will practice on Wednesday.
Yeah, the intent was that to be in the youth section as well. That's to go on that side. So you'll be the morning on Wednesday.
And I have one question about the practice row is only one lap. That's true. It is one 4,000 meter lap roughly.
And again, so they're starting to sing some of the questions, of course, about the one vehicle. Again, I understand. We totally understand. Like some of the vehicles, we got 10 vehicles, we got multiple teams, we got all this, this planning and a lot of planning, a lot more crews from the club coming compared to some normal years. And we totally understand that, but at the same time, also understanding the island is only so big. So our whole feeling is it's one vehicle at one time. If you want to, if you're going to safely hand off the parking pass to the vehicle, so virtually you will only have one vehicle per team on the island at one time. That's the best thing we can. That way we can at least safely get, a team can get a vehicle on there. So again, if you're able to rotate through, again, I know that some of you guys were hoping to get like, oh, we're gonna like 5 boats there at the same time. There is just physically no space on the island for this many. With this many trailers, again, we've got about, on a normal year, we'll have about 40 trailers. Right now, we're at about 90 trailers on site. We've got all this other infrastructure in place that's just not, very conducive to actually, again, that still allows us to have 200 vehicles on site. But again, that's pretty much one per team on this deal. So again, if you need to do the handoffs for the passes, that works. Otherwise, it's there are going to be 2 shuttles running as well along the path from the parking lot over. That's just kind of where we have to be with that right now.
James, a question about what type of sunglasses. Someone keeps asking about Oakley's. I'm not going to tell you what brand works or doesn't. If you want that specific, you can go to the CDC website. There's also, James, where can they find the course maps? Are they on Regatta Central and on USRowing?
Yeah, the course maps are all in the confirmation packet that's posted on the website and in Regatta Central, correct?
Thank you.
And I think maybe if maybe they're thinking of Oakley's like Kleenex and think, Oakley's have always been the thought of like the generic form of wraparounds. I don't know, maybe that's just dating myself to the Greg LeMond years and the Lance Armstrong years, but if anything, it's definitely want something. It's not like like a little squinty like keyboardist from the 1980s kind of glasses. We want to make sure we have something that's going to protect the eyes and that kind of deal. There are events U17 quad, for example, that only have 19 entries but still have D finals scheduled. We were trying to pull all the D finals out of that, if I remember correctly from the updated schedule. If I missed that, they are coming out. We were trying to pull out anything that didn't need a D final out. That's where that's if anything, it's condensing. We usually don't want to condense, but again, thinking about Florida, we want to try to make sure that we can condense as much as we can because of what the potential for weather and later in the day. So yes, we would always sometimes like to leave gaps to give a little bit of breathing room, but we really don't want to maybe potentially hurt some races later in the day. Another question about the practices again, as Ruth said, if you're really trying to take this on a case by case, again, it's like we're really trying to make sure that we're trying to find what was fit, and we understand the travel concerns of like, we planned around the 12 to 4 And let us know. I mean, we know that this is going to be some of the teams. We still feel like we have a little bit of breathing room. We've been polling with the crews that have kind of brought this up so far. We still feel like if you can let us know, we can work with you. But again, it's let us know. You don't just show up without us and we're looking at the guest list and you're not on it and say, wait, let us know. We're here to work with you the best we can. And I'm trying to make sure that we can kind of, make this work to the best of their abilities.
So to tap onto that, the question about, is there practice Friday and Saturday? And the answer is no practice on Friday. There's no time to have a practice after Friday's racing, but there will be practice Saturday, roughly 5 to 6:30 following racing for the crews that are racing on Sunday, only those crews that are racing Sunday.
And again, a lot of this too is you might look at the schedule saying, but it seems like there's lots of the time of the day, but we also know historically what happens in the afternoons in Florida in the afternoon. We just want to make sure we have that built out, that we have the opportunity to be able to continue our racing, because that obviously is the most important thing. If things get pushed because of weather, we have the place and time to be able to finish and get that done. All right, going through all this stuff again, heat sheets again, like I said, tomorrow we'll get that. It'll be on herenow.com. We'll also post the links here on our USRowing website, and it'll be on Regatta Central as well, so you'll have plenty of places to find it as well. All the bound numbers. So virtually when you go to control, we're going to have all the bound numbers. I'd like to be able to kind of give them out. I can't remember what we said in the packet, to be honest, but we'll be providing all the time trial numbers ahead of the night before. Virtually, we'll pull all the data, have them all labeled for you. You can send your one person to pick them up and get that, so you're ready for the time trial day. That way you're not fumbling around looking for bound numbers trying to launch on a very, very busy day. We have the alphanumerics for the other 3 days of racing. We have 3 full sets that have been shipped down to Florida. Thank you to PNRA for helping to get those down. So we are good to go, and you will just at that point just come down to the launch docs, and we'll assess. We'll make sure you pass what Ruth's talking about for control commission, and then you get your set. Giving your bound number, and then you're off to the races. So.
There's a question about if everyone's vaccinated, but the bow seat in an 8, does the coxswain still have to wear a mask? The answer is yes. It has to be the entire boat. All 9 of them would have to be vaccinated. So thank you.
Do all members of a boat need to be present for a boat to practice on Tuesday and Wednesday? Well, I hope you're not talking about having holes in your boat, like a 3-row out of a 4. But I guess if like Timmy has been accredited in this, and he's like the spare, and Brian can't make because he's got on a flight because of his parents are bringing him down or something like that, and the only way to get your practice with your team in is with Timmy, I'm okay with that as long as Ruth is okay with that. Again, it's a matter of like again, we're not putting boats out there with missing holes and missing seats, but yeah, if it's a matter of like trying to make sure that our kids can actually get out there, I think that works.
There's a question again about the 1 to 4 practice on Wednesday, because they made plans on what was initially posted. So Meg, you can go through James and get an exception for that if you need to for your crews.
We can definitely work through that. Like I said, we've got something. Again, we don't want a mad rush like all of a sudden, because again, it'll be and again, we don't really have the space to have everybody shift to the afternoon. And again, thinking about Florida, if you have the ability to train in the morning, do you want to be risking your one time to practice to go row in the afternoon if you have the ability?
And there's a question, can you run 2 laps during Wednesday's practice? The answer is no. Everyone's going to try to get out on Wednesday. And can you run the circuit twice? No, thank you.
And again, what are the centers? The centers, as we said, it's all in the schedule that's posted online. Right now, they're currently at 7 minutes. We're trying to, that's really tight. And again, if weather gets there, we have discussed potentially making them tighter as long as we can do it safely. So, but right now, the only thing that's besides the time trials, the only thing that's not 7 minutes on the centers are the A finals on Sunday, which are at 10-minute centers. Everything else is at 7.
There's a question about, I can't answer it. Will truck-topped quads and singles still have a trailer spot? Or will they have limited space?
They're having virtually it's a drop and go. I mean, if you're a car topper, you're going to drop your boat, but then you'll have your one, that's technically your one pass. So at that point you can then go park your vehicle in the parking area. But again, you will not be able to keep the vehicle in the trailer area because you're a car topper.
So James, is USRowing providing all the bound numbers for all racing?
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
Yeah. There is no cool down area this year. We did the stats from last year. Ruth, why don't you did that number? Why don't you tell them about the cool down?
We had 1 boat who went through the cool down traffic pattern on the last day of finals. There you go. So we're not running it this year.
Perfect. Right. Will the start referees recognize hands up?
Oh, very interesting. Well, they're not obligated to recognize them anymore in the rules, because the responsibility of having a safe start falls on the starters. So will they recognize hands? They'll recognize hands in your boat if they see it. So if you're a bow loaded coxswain, I would suggest you have bow or stroke raise their hand, or even both. And typically they will only acknowledge them if you're actually doing something in your boat. In other words, you're still sculling it around because you don't have your point. If you're just sitting there with your hand up and you have a good point, they're going to start without acknowledging your hand. So coxswains, if you raise your hand, you have to be doing something that can be visibly seen from the start tower. And if it's really imperative that you can't start, wave both hands, sit up and wave your hands to the starter. But on general practice, they do not have to acknowledge your hand.
For the time trial, for example, if crew B is about to overtake crew A, but crew A is not yielding to the adjacent lane, is it within the race rules for crew B to move to the adjacent lane out of safety?
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. I would yell for the crew in front of you. You can yell to the referee as you go by to tell the crew to move out. I will instruct my referees to be proactive, those along the course, to prevent any interference, so that, in other words, they would ask a crew who is stalling from getting out of their lane to move out of the way. I do understand that we cannot give time back to a crew that is impeded by a slow crew. So yes, turn around and have your bow turn around and yell at them to get out of the way. Or I guess if you really felt you were better off going around them, but that's a longer course for you. So we would rather you have a straight shot and move the slow crew out of your way.
Perfect. Are the lanes buoyed?
They are all buoyed, all 8 of them, 00 through 7. So what is that, 9 lanes?
All right. Will the referees be overflagging race? Will the referees be overflagging race course? I have seen a lot of incidents where some referees have been breaking lanes without a chance of impeding.
Okay, so you are entitled to your water, and that means your water inside the buoy line. So if a crew comes across and their blades go into your water, typically most of us won't flag unless they're really coming at you. We will put our bow of our launch in between, and hopefully they move back. But our goal is not to steer a boat down the course, because that's giving them advantage to have a straighter course. So we will steer if they cross the buoy line or are about to cross it and even clash. Maybe you choose to row on your port buoy line all the time, and the crew off your port side is coming towards you. It's our responsibility to protect you in your water. So I hope that answers your question.
One question on the tentative schedule, and this is one I was having that I mentioned I will be correcting. There was an A final for the men's U17 pair, but the B final was a mix-up in the progression on my part. It is actually will be at this point, as long as nobody else drops, is a 2-boat final for the B final. Right now it's a semifinal, A and B semifinal for the men's, 4 boats in each. The top 3 from each will go to the A final, and then the next 2 will go to the B final. That is that one. Will boats be weighed at the regatta? Is there an opportunity well, we don't have any weighing of anybody, weighing of anybody or thing. We are not doing any coxswain lightweight boat weigh-ins. There is nothing this year. That's those do not exist. There will actually be tents up for them. That's not for you. That's for the weekend after. So don't worry. It's nothing. No, there's nothing big and secretive behind those tents. It's just getting ready for the U19, U23 trials the next week. So that is what's going on.
There's a question about why we don't have the warm-up lanes during practice, so that coxswains and rowers can get used to and mimic the actual warm-up and traffic pattern for the actual day of racing. It's just too tight of a space with so many boats going out to, we're not giving you an hour window where, 40 boats are going to come out and have that training session to make it safe. It's everybody gets to go out and do a single file loop. And that's why we're not going to have you circling in the warm-up area. It's just too dangerous with so many boats out there.
Yeah, to Ruth's point, if everybody decided they all wanted to go out when it opens at 7 o'clock, this is the double warm up that we have on the time trial day is already a really awesome thing that Ruth has created to make this work. But no, it's really great. I think it's very cool. I was not going to be able to figure that out, but just the sheer amount of boats we would have during a practice would just make that impossible. Where can we find a copy of these maps? Again, those are in the confirmation packet that are on the website. And again, linked through the website in Regatta Central. So you should be able to find them there if you need them there.
And confirmation, the coxswains do have to wear eye protection if their crew is not fully vaccinated. And what constitutes eye protection for a coxswain? It is wraparound glasses or a shield. Sinners on the time trials. Well, there is no sinner on the time trial. The time trials have all been mapped out and timed such that we can have everybody in the warm-up session and get down the course and only have 5 minutes of overlap in each warm-up session on each side. So
and then Ruth, how much time you were going to send boats off every
20? Our goal is every 20 seconds. I know that when we get to the larger boats, they struggle to do it in 20 seconds. And that's why I ask them all to pull up to give a little more room. So 20 to 30 seconds, the singles and doubles pairs, all that should be able to go off quite quick. And so we allotted a little extra time for those boats that might struggle. So no sinners on time trials, just
what are the rules regarding hats on race course?
So do you have a hat rule?
I don't remember having a hat rule. I didn't write. I wear a hat all the time, so I don't put one in.
Hat rule typically is if more than one person in the boat wears a hat, they need to be of light colors. In other words, if they're wearing a white hat, then anyone else who wears a hat should wear a hat, not a visor. But I'm not sure that we're such a stickler on that. That's much more like a FISA rule. I don't want you to wear an orange hat if your uniforms are blue, and somebody else wear a green hat. So if you're wearing any kind of headgear, just have it all be light colors.
Right. Ruth, I'll defer this one to you. What will you do to guarantee the safety of rowers who flip in a lake infested with gators and crocodiles? Well, the first part, there are no crocodiles because not in this part of Florida, it's only alligators. But Ruth, go ahead.
I can't guarantee the safety, but I can tell you that we are all first responders. And we will be right there to do our best to get them in and out of water into our launches. And
we know that Senka also does a very good job of, and they know they exactly, and they know who's there and what's there, and we're all taken care of. So
they even run when you swim. What are those called?
Triathlons.
Triathlon.
Yes, they do that. And Bob Whitford was swimming and they're doing some coursework last week, so we know that if anything, if they try to attack Bob, then they've met their demise at this point. Is there a designated athlete drop-off lane? So virtually, going back to the vehicles, for those familiar with the race with the island, there is that kind of bus turnout as you come in. Where it's going to get pretty crowded there for a little bit, especially with the spectators. And if anybody needs to get anybody off, into that area fast, but there is going to be some opportunities to be able to drop off some athletes there quickly. It's not time to do a seance, and it's more like drop your stuff and go. That way that drops them off just before the registration area and the access to the athlete area. So that'll work for that.
So again, they're still asking about warm-ups. It is one very large lap. They want to know about the U15 progressions.
U15. So virtually the U15s, we'll be able to kind of say which ones here now. We'll be able, once you see the draw, it'll actually have it listed out of who are the U15 athletes in the U17 singles who are going to be up for the secondary, not secondary, but virtually a race within a race to get those medals for the U15 categories within the U17 singles.
Okay, Meg Kennedy, wait, it just went away. You're asking again. Yes, Wednesday times for Y cruise.
Youth cruise.
Youth cruise 1 to 4 as originally posted, and Friday evening practice time for crews who do not race Friday.
So Meg, yeah, like I said, Meg, I think you're one of the programs that definitely we can, like I said, go ahead. We'll figure out a way. We'll talk to you about that, about trying to get that afternoon. Like I think you said you still travel wise might be needing that Wednesday afternoon practice. Let me know. We'll figure it out. But Friday practice times, nobody's practicing Friday because the course limits we have and what we need to get on the course that day. The races will be live streamed. They are live streamed. There's some information about where that's going to be, a little bit bigger than just our YouTube. It's always been on our YouTube website, but there's more to come on that, in some stuff that was able to be agreed upon at the end of last week. So that'd be exciting. Some stuff we'll have to report in the next day or two. So stay tuned for that.
Did you answer about handicap parking?
Yeah, ADA is going to be we're trying to finalize where that is on the island, but they will have ADA parking on the island.
I thought Sarah said it was going to be in that outside loop. So hopefully it'll be easy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's the hope.
Perfect. Great.
Regatta Central's down. How do they update lineups?
Actually, I was able to fix that while we were in the middle of the conversation here. So you should be able to go in there actually now and do that. So multitasking as we talk. Byron, in regards to the two quads on the top, car topping two quads, let's circle back with Sanka about how they want to. Again, usually we're doing where our car toppers are, singles and doubles. Let me just see how we want to do that with the doubles, and we'll try to connect and figure that out tomorrow.
There's a question about, will warm-up officials call out race times for boats on warm-up course? So that top marshal near the start will call the race and invite the crews onto the course, and then the starter will attribute their lanes. You have to make exceptions for masks.
I think so. I think there's some good questions here. I think they're more geared towards our COVID officer. So for what we can circle back with Brett Johnson about. But again, at this point, we've made the decision that we will have, again, unless they're actually on the water, the athletes can remove them when they go in the water. But again, when they're walking around the venue, it's in the athlete area, and they will be masked, and we'll be enforcing that in the athlete area.
So I can say to Meg, all those other regattas that she's listed here, we had no way of blocking parents out away from the athletes. And yes, people were walking through, tried to keep the athletes wearing their masks. Many of them didn't come off the water, but at this regatta, there will be fencing up and no one can come in that area. So we will be enforcing masks within the athlete area.
Is the bike lane going to be available to coaches? It is a public park. It is public access. You will have access to that area. Just be very careful, because with the size of this regatta, I mean, there might be more parents out there than we've seen in the past, because there are some parents that are going to be over on that side. Just making sure that if you are out there, just be very, very careful that we're not creating any other safety concerns issues because of that, as we're super excited to watch our double 4-8 come down the race course.
Coxswains are not expected to wear surgical masks, so those have been listed as the best. They can wear a cloth mask.
All right. Are there any single day boat rentals on Tuesday? I don't have any connection with any boat rentals. I know that there are some of the boat manufacturers that are coming down, but you would need to talk to them about securing any equipment. But I don't. We're not providing any equipment or anything to anybody.
James, these practice schedules are listed on Regatta Central and USRowing. We're getting lots of questions about U19s in the morning, questioning when it is. So if you have any doubts after this meeting of when practices are for what boats, is there a place that they can go see where it's listed?
They should be all on the website. I'm trying to go there to make sure there's nothing's come down from that, but.
So no one's practicing both windows on either day, on Wednesday even. There's just not enough room to allow all crews to get out on the water and have people double up.
Right. All right, just to confirm, Wednesday practice in the morning for Sarah Kim. Yes, correct. Then U19s in the morning.
We have no U15 events here, correct?
It's just the U17 has that singles. They have in the singles race, there is a U15 category within the category. Like I said, those will be posted on here now. Once we get that up, we'll be able to say there'll be a designation once they written in there that'll show who, just kind of like when you would do it back at the Charles back in the day, you'll know who your other categories within the categories are for medals purposes.
Why is USRowing so adamant about not confirming eye protection? I'm saying, as the chief referee, that if you are a coxswain in the stern of the boat facing the rowers, right? That's the stern, you're facing your crew. You have to have eye protection on and you have to wear a mask unless your whole boat is vaccinated. I don't know how to say it any more clearly than that.
Right. All right. Are there specific protocols for parking the first time a team arrives at the race course? Well, again, we'll be on site at 6 a.m. on Tuesday. So if you happen to be at the race course at 5:30, A, I'd like a coffee. And B, again, we'll be ready to give you your credentials and you can come on down with your boat. So we'll be there. We're going to be there once at the open of the venue on those days. So virtually just come down, make sure, again, you can't get in the athlete area without your credentials. So like I said, we'll give it to you. We'll give you a pass. And then again, it's going to be really right up in that same area before you come on down. And then we'll get you down to what you need to do.
It says, do boats have to come warm up and leave after the race, or can you cheer on your teammates? I think the schedule shows that you have to be off the island an hour after your race time.
Correct. As if you look at that schedule, it's virtually the same thing we've been using since the first one posted at the beginning of April. There is a time to be on the island, a time to be off the island. And we understand that, again, there's a lot of logistical issues, especially with some of the teams, probably bringing more crews this year. But again, we will be watching to make sure that we are trying to keep this thing as clear as possible. And yeah, if your race is over at 10 o'clock, you will be off island by 11 o'clock.
Do 18-plus-year-olds have to do safe sport?
I would refer back to the Safe Sport webinar that they did last week. I believe that was recorded and posted. So again, I control the fences. I'm doing the Safe Sport stuff. That's again, I left that to Pam Adler, who did that webinar last week.
No safe sport, no COVID for you, I understand.
Yeah.
Will there be format for the trailers parking, or is it first come, first serve?
It's first come, first serve. It's just, there's really been talking to Sankel yesterday. It's, they'll be able to accommodate you as best they can. It's more like they just can't say so-and-so is here and there and then just trying to wiggle everybody in. It will be virtually whoever comes in first and go, virtually build the line from there.
So this next question is about, if the stroke seat is vaccinated and the coxswain is vaccinated, why should the coxswain have to wear a mask? It really doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry it doesn't make sense to you as an individual, but I think for the protocol for the entire event, we have to stick to the protocols that were in place when we put out the invitation for people to sign up and for referees to come work and for athletes to come race. So it may be an inconvenience and you may not understand it, but that is the rule and that's what's going to be enforced at the race course.
All right. I'm going through now, seeing a lot of the duplicates.
Okay, so then you can't give time back, but if the added time places the crew out of the 26 that actually get to race, what is the crew's recourse? Exactly, that's why I'm saying if you get obstructed or believe you've been obstructed, they will talk to the finish marshal and we'll try to do the best we can to accommodate that crew, especially if has to have been seen by a referee, though. It can't just be a coxswain statement or a crew statement. And again, my referees will be asked to be proactive to get slow crews out of the way of fast crews. Can't guarantee it, but it's the best I can offer.
There's a question about, do you mind describing how boats will progress onto each subsequent race level based on the placement? The progression system has been up on the website for the last 3 weeks. Please go and take a look at that. To see how your crews, based on the entry numbers of each event, will then tell you how the progression system is for that event. So that is up online. And again, you should be able to find that about a third of the way down on the regatta. So it's been up there for about 3 weeks.
Okay, is there a sound when the boat, where'd it go? Enters the time trial. Whew. There's no sound when you cross the starting line. You'll know you are on the race course when your buoys go from red to yellow, and there's no sign, any sound at the finish line either. Row through the red buoys.
Are the buoys color coded for distance?
There is a red buoy at each 500 meters, if not 250. I know at 500.
How far apart of those buoys at the race course?
Typically 10 meters, 5 meters in the start area. Whoa, am I taking my TSA exam again?
What happens if a U15 athlete does not progress past time trials, but is the fastest U15 athlete? They get a gold medal. That is the highest placing U15 athlete. Wherever it ends up being is where they get that gold medal is assessed. The live streaming will not be for the time trials. It'll be Friday through Sunday's racing.
Are there fees for parking? Is all this stuff on the website?
Yes, it's in the confirmation packet. It does mention the parking fees for the north lot in the confirmation packet.
Someone asked about drinking water access on the island. Bring your own water. It's written everywhere in the regatta packet. Bring your own water on the island.
In the COVID packets. Is spectating allowed on the far side of the course? There is, again, it's a public park. I knew there was some construction going on that I don't know what the status of that is. That was about a month ago. There's limited resources. We actually have put out, we've encouraged a couple of portalets to kind of help out with that, but there's nothing really over there. But it is a spot. Again, was that?
There's construction going on the far side.
Right. So, but again, it is open. It's at your will. But again, that was because with the island selling out.
Are you having an awards ceremony that parents can attend?
We are. That is actually in they're going. So the award stage, the one they use for the NCAA's is actually still there. We will be escorting the athletes into the area we are still working on this is a new ad within the last week. We will be having virtually setting up a time schedule that you'll know when the awards are for each of the events. And then we'll escort the athletes in from the athlete area so they can have their awards, and then they will go back to the athlete area when they're done. But they will be doing that. So do not, as it said in the package, do not bring the Youth National Championship trophies, because this is not the Youth National Championships. This Youth National Regatta has its own set of trophies that the winner this year will be able to keep as hey, this is our payback for COVID, and this is the championship trophy for this regatta.
Are there ergs available on site?
There are not.
Can a trailer arrive at 3 a.m.?
You would have to discuss that with Sanka. That is outside of the hours, and so you would need to talk to the people over at Benderson about that possibility.
You cannot ask kids to leave the island with team vans! ! Not sure what that means.
I don't either. Yes. So they get back. I don't think there's.
Are online.
Yes. Is there semis for U7? Okay, so we answered that, the U17 pair one. No.
Can any team use a white tent for shelter? What white tent for shelter? The one over by the course?
Again, in emergency situations, we're trying to, again, this might come to this topic. We are assessing all potential storms coming through with the ability to be able to get off of island as quickly as possible and as safely as possible, with plenty of time to get off island. Again, knowing that we have the vehicle issues. We also are purposely, we don't want to, virtually make this we'll just hang out and we'll just do it anyway. But the tents are grounded for storms, so there is a bit of protection there. They'll have plastic floors, because we do have the 2 40x80s in the athlete area for warm up and stretching and all that stuff. But that's one of a few places on islands that you have to go in case of emergencies.
So it says we did not need to wear masks while racing at regional championships. What has changed?
Nothing, because you're not racing with your masks on at Benderson. It's masks.
The coxswain is.
Right, the coxswain is, but yeah,
Was it that standard? Did you not do that at regionals?
That was part of the packets. It was the part of these COVID plans from the existence.
In the majority of the boats.
Back to an earlier question about have the practice schedules gone out? Yes, they were emailed out last. I believe it was the beginning of last week. A lot went on last week. It was either the end of last week. It was the beginning of last week about that. So you should all at least the team representatives whose the accounts are linked in the back of Regatta Central should have received an email directly from that. All right. If you need it. If you have one U17 boat and the majority of your boats are U19, is it preferable easier for your boat management purposes for a program to request the U17 to practice in the morning? Again, the intent is to make sure that the U19s practice when the U19s are practicing and the U17 practice when the U17 practices. We don't have a lot of time in these. Again, these are really getting full situations right now with the amount of boats to be having everybody all of a sudden when it's like, hey, I'm a U17, I want to go here for, we're discouraging it. We really and truly, unless it's like for some reason that it's life or death, we really want that U17 to practice in their assigned slot.
I think Brian is asking the buoy colors change to all red. Yes, they do change to all red for the last 250.
Yeah.
What is the restroom porta potty situation? Won't they be everywhere?
They're supposed to be everywhere. I think Sarah.
They're supposed to be cleaned
daily. Yes.
Well, more than daily, like every few hours.
Something like that. Yeah. But that we can get the confirmation on that. But like, yeah, Sarah has, Sarah Kupiak has done a great job of making sure we have pretty much everything we possibly need.
Did you see that with team parking and racing being so close for certain teams, we followed your rules of keeping teams separated, boys and girls, and now we only have one parking pass per team, which makes it impossible to get athletes to the course when they need to arrive.
Again, we're limited by the size of the venue. We wish we had the ability to add more beach. We just don't have the space on the island to be able to access more cars. Like I said earlier, if you have the ability to be able to kind of do either the drop off, because again, you can just drop off and go, or if you have the ability to if your team is in a manageable size where you can actually just trade off the passes, so you only have one vehicle on site at one time, that works. But again, we just do not have. Getting the 200 was actually a stretch. We were able to do that in the last week because the original, what we were talking about was saying for the longest time is that we were probably not going to have any space for anything but trailers. So this is actually an add in the last week.
So someone is asking if they know you covered it, but where is the U15 delineation to the U17's race being disclosed? Also when?
Here now, now, tomorrow when it gets posted with the lane draws.
Got it. So that's been answered.
Perfect.
At the COVID meetings, these things jump around. I don't know how you read them. At the COVID meeting, Sarah confirmed at 54 minutes and 20 seconds that there would not be a parking fee. Why is there a fee now? Parents in the north lot have already paid $75. Why are we charging them even more now? Don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I wasn't on the webinar call for the COVID. It's our typical process for parents are always paying on site on the island. That's always been a part of our races at the venue. Again, we're at this point, again, like I said, if we don't have to use that lot, if you can drop off, and again, a lot of these bigger teams, you might also be doing virtually shuttling all day because again, if having this many vehicles, again, it's, you said you have the one space, but we're just, the fee is something we've always had for the parent side of things.
When kids are in teams vans, they'll have to stay on the island. You cannot put a kid on a shuttle to nowhere. Kids who are not accompanied by parents must stay with coaches until they leave.
Well, it's not our intent that we're sending kids by themselves on shuttles. That would be I would expect that the coaches.
Chaperones.
Yeah, exactly. That's where no one is ever saying that we're expecting the kids to be anywhere by themselves. This is the point of having actually, credentialed staff members, and the list of essential support staff you've provided is that they're going to be actually helping these teams and actually doing and providing the care that they need to be, because once they're off island, they're in the team's hands. We're our US-Rowing's, our space is the parking lot to the north and the island. So again, this is why we want to make sure that once we leave island, that we're not sending anybody. We do not encourage sending of athletes by themselves.
Unsupervised.
Unsupervised, correct.
Are net Gators allowed or surgical masks only?
Defer to the COVID packet again. I do. There's been so many. I just want to make sure that we read it correctly. So I would defer back to the COVID policies for the regatta that have been posted.
What are your criteria for calling, canceling a race?
The weather plan is in the confirmation packet, and again, the forms again are through our website, through Facebook, through Regatta Central, through the texting service that was provided in the confirmation packet, and it should be on Regatta Central as well. So making sure that you and anybody on your team that needs to have this information, that they have actually dialed that, connected through the texting service, so they can start getting the notices for the regatta. All right. Again, back to the semifinals for boats with 9 entries. Please just refer back to the progression system that's been posted. How early can the racers arrive on the island before their race? Please look at the schedule that's been posted. It tells you when you can arrive on island. Canceling due to the weather. Emails are not going out for everything. Sorry, friends. Put it on Regatta Central, everything. Like I just said, we have it on the website, Regatta Central, Facebook, and the texting service. Pretty much even a stronger texting service we have in the past. So that should be able, at least one of those, we should be able to get a clear picture of hitting about everybody. Again, if you want to make sure, you can have everybody on your team, athletes, coaches, support staff, whatever, add to that texting service if you feel needed, to make sure that we're getting that message across, to make sure people are getting the any updates with weather.
And are we sending updates out on that number that we text to that gives us updated information?
So again, Ruth, I missed the
first part. The US-Rowing number that we text, are weather cancellations and all those changes going out on that text?
Yep, they are. Yep.
Oh, so then everybody should sign up for that.
Exactly. Yeah. So
and thank you for the thank you. We appreciate that.
That question is correct. We were told, yeah, okay, all right. Maybe that's it.
For the warm-up lanes heading up to the start.
For the warm-up lanes heading up to the start of the race course, are they the same width as the racing lanes?
I would think not. No, I think they're wider, but I haven't been up since those have been installed. I was there in February, but haven't been back.
All right.
Yes, the texting service. I got that information. So is the text pound youth nationals to the number I have, correct? Which I did. Can I give that out?
Yeah. Yep.
So the texting information is pound, the pound sign, youth nationals to 267-459-8254.
Perfect. Why don't you answer the next one while I'm trying to find something that someone's referring to?
I'm going to type this in there though, and then I'll answer it. Nationals to 267-459-8254.
All right. So the question that someone's asking, where in the entry packet did it disclose U15 events? It's actually on page 12, edition of U17 events and U15 subcategories. So please go back to the event entry packet and please read the part about the U15. Thank you.
The time trial is 1900 meters. Yep, the starting line is at the 100-meter mark. Oh, I just, that weather number, I just put it in on the.
Again, if they don't have it, it's again, like I said, it's been posted countless places. It should, again, I think Sarah even put it on the front page of Regatta Central as well for the texting service. She was always good about putting it there. You can always pull it up again while we do this.
There you go. Text youth nationals to 267-459-8254. Send.
See if I can throw that, copy that here real quick.
Okay.
And I will put that into chat. but I think that might be it. Is that everything?
That's everything. So I'm going to repeat the number one last time. Pound Youth Nationals to the number is 267-459-8254. That's the last question.
Perfect. All right.
Thank you all for participating, asking valuable questions. Hope we've answered everything sufficiently.
And again, this will be posted. You will need a little bit of time to kind of get this again edited and thrown up on the website, but this will be there. Then again, the intent of this is that you have it. If any other questions come up through, please let us know so that we can sort of make sure that anything is addressed before we'd have a CNC normally. So that would be great. So thanks,
Bob
everyone.
And I will be often on the site on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. So if you see us, feel free to ask us questions.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
Have a great night. Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.